What's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic podcast, and I think you know who's on my right. I think you know him. Like, I think we all know him at this point. I got Mr. Jason Aponte with me today, and it's gonna be a lively show. Let's just say it's gonna be energy packed. But before we get to any of it, we gotta hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I like to know.
are you ready for start time?
And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Make sure you give this video a like. Make sure that you give me a subscribe. Both of us a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when we go live. And I had to wear the Wu-Tang shirt just for this guy on here right now. He's my fellow Wu-Tang head. So appreciate you coming through, Jason. But hey, we know Jason from. Let's go down the list. You got Jason Aponte. You got Sprint Right Option Podcast. He writes for Niner Nation. He's on Bully Ball with Steph Sanchez, and he's doing State of the Franchise with Brad Graham. Plus, he's on with my other guy from Locked On,
Brian
Peacock.
Yeah.
Shout out to Peacock. I can't forget him. Dog. I the first question I got for you is, how do you have time to do all of this on a weekly basis?
Well, first of all, man, it's good to see you, man, and thank you again for having me. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just it's what we're into. I'm lucky enough to work with so many talented people and guys who like make things easier on me. And yeah, it's just whatever you're gonna make time for and whatever it is that you have time for, as long as you're passionate, it really doesn't make it seem like it's work at all. But yeah, it's just I'm really lucky to be able to like be surrounded with so many good people.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching you for about as long as I've been doing, like a little bit before my show, so about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But when did you first know that you wanted to start creating content?
I'll tell you the truth. It was never something that I ever thought could happen, and then COVID made it happen, and that's how kind of all of this happened. I had a regular job, just like everybody else. I mean, not that my job isn't regular or anything like that. I mean, like I was working like 48 hours more than that, and COVID took that away. And I was lucky enough to be able to bring in enough money with the things that I was doing. I started writing for 49ers Web Zone, and then I made my first few appearances on other people's YouTubes, and it gave me the jump that I never thought would be there. So I'll be honest, I never thought how this would happen, but it was definitely because of COVID, like being in the house and having to do something. So in a moment of like, what do you do? Well, are you going to sit there and not do anything or just try something? And I did. And honestly, it would have never happened if it wasn't for COVID. As crazy as that sounds, like, I don't mean it. I don't mean that to sound like bad or anything like that. Like it was obviously a horrible thing. I'm just saying, like, being in the house, that's really what pushed me to like start doing this.
Yeah, sometimes out of catastrophes, I mean, good things, people just they find a way. They find a way, and it's and yeah, good things can happen out of like you said, catastrophes. And COVID, like if it wasn't for COVID, probably most of us wouldn't be doing this. Zoom calls went out of the stratosphere at the time, and I don't know if any of us would be doing this. I mean, there were podcasts before, but yeah, still. So my next question for you, because I want people to get to know you, and how did you become a 49er fan on the East Coast?
Oh, that's a good one. So my dad's from the Bronx, and that's why Yankees, whatever, like either be a Yankee fan or you get kicked out of the house and fend for
Yeah.
yourself. Um But my dad, he was in the Air Force and he was stationed in Ohio, and they gave him a choice of a college to go to, and he chose Indiana. And while he's at Indiana, he goes to a Notre Dame game, and there's a skinny guy who comes in the game, and the Notre Dame's down like 29 something, 29-3, I think, or something like that. And Joe Montana comes on at halftime, number 3. And my dad watched him come and like lead them back. And he said, like, whatever team that guy goes to, that's my team. And that's how it happened, man. Like after that, like
Oh
there's
wow.
pictures of me like just wearing like 49er stuff, and like I just kept up with it. My dad left. He went back to the Giants because all of a sudden he was just like, oh, I always kind of been. I guess the Bronx came back out of him, but like I stuck with the 49ers, and the only reason I know is because of my dad. So
That's wild. Like, I
yeah.
mean, I think we all have, like, especially when you've been fan. It's different when people become fans as adults,
Mm-hmm.
but when you've been a fan since a kid, it's always some weird story.
Yeah,
Like
especially
for
up here.
yeah,
Well, I mean, up here, like you could definitely say that there was people that were just on the bandwagon.
yeah,
Um, was I born during a time when the 49ers were very good? That's an also yes, but I
yeah,
never picked them because they were winning. It was all I ever knew.
yeah, yeah. Mine is because I'm old. Like the I like them
Not that old.
because
Stop
of
playing, man.
dog. I'm older than you.
No, you're not.
I know I'm older than you. Oh, I'm
How
for
much
sure
older?
older than you.
How
Dog,
much
I'm
older?
46.
You
About to be
don't look it.
47.
That's actually
Dog, you
no.
see all this gray? Stop lying.
Yo, that salt and pepper's crazy. That goes crazy. I can't wait till I become a man and get some of that.
Oh, dog. Like, I mean, that's how I got my wife.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. There you go.
But yeah, like Tecmo Bowl, 80, 86, I want to say. Like,
Oh
I want
yeah,
to say it was
just throw the
86.
Jerry
Like,
Rice there.
and yeah, that play that you just run all the way to the back and throw it to Jerry Rice all day long. And
Wait, you
I
knew
was
about
hooked.
that too?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was
Everybody
just
knew about that.
I thought that was just like an up here thing that we knew that like at Tech Bowl you ran back to the one and just threw it down the field and it would be
No,
a
no.
touchdown.
Everybody had their team, and they had their
Mhm.
one play, and that was the 49er play. And then you would have like Bo Jackson. It didn't matter. You could just give it to him. He just runs over everybody. Like
Yeah.
Walter Payton, same thing. But yeah, what's going on to the guys in the chat? Brandon, appreciate you coming through, fam. David, always a pleasure. My guys got really good content out there, so make sure that you give my guys a follow. Make sure you give them a subscribe as well. Bebop in the house, appreciate you coming through, fam. But I got one more for you before we get into it. And favorite, you picked
Mhm.
favorite or just the most played, because I know favorite is kind of hard sometimes.
Mhm.
Favorite or just most played song,
What, like right now or ever?
like ever.
Okay. Was not expecting this, but I love this question.
Yeah.
And it literally comes down to like the same arguments that you have with movies. I don't have a favorite movie. I have
Mm-hmm.
movies that I love. Music. You asked me to pick most played song.
Like, yeah, a favorite or most played, like, because I know it's hard to pick a
No, no,
favorite.
no, no,
It's
it's fine. No,
impossible for me.
no. I get it. I get it. So like most played is probably some other song. Favorite song. And I'm glad you're wearing the Wu-Tang sweater. Favorite song. I swear on Jesus sandals, I know every single word still to this day is Shadowboxing by Jizza with Method Man off of Liquid Swords. And I brace it down to the bone gristle. Though I know every single word.
Mexican Johnny Blaze, Nightmares at
That is
West
probably
Crazy.
yeah, that's probably one of my favorite like all-time rap songs. And I can't tell you any other reason why like it's better than anything else. It's just so pleasing to my ear. Yeah.
Dog, it's just there's so much rhythm in that song.
It's perfect.
Like, yeah, that's my favorite Wu Tang song too. Like,
Yeah.
that's my favorite Wu Tang song. Like, I like, yeah, I could go down the rabbit hole. I've got 20
No,
million.
it is. I
Like,
mean, and that's the thing is ask me today, you get that answer. Ask me
yeah,
tomorrow, I'll give you another answer, right? But like
because
that's
then
just
you must
like
start me thinking. Yeah.
But it's just that one will always stick with me. I don't care how old I am. I know every single word, and I'm gonna rap it.
What's going on, Rod? Appreciate you coming through, fan. Make sure you check out my guy, DJ, like Twitter DJ. He be putting the grooves out. Like, so pay attention to my guy. Uh, but yeah, so week one is through.
Mhm.
Week one is through. 49ers, I would say they dominated for the most part. Were you impressed with the win against the Jets?
How could you not be? I mean,
Yeah.
especially when you think about all the hype that the Jets got. A lot of people had them top 5 roster and team that was about to make noise, and of course they're going to be a sexy pick because they've got good players on both sides of the ball. And then you think, oh well, if Aaron Rodgers throws the football, I still think all those things can be true. After this week one loss, it doesn't necessarily make the Jets completely out of it. But if you're talking about not being impressed by how well this team came out, and it feels like they still have things to fix and how much they won by. I mean, that game wasn't particularly close for a long time, and especially with this entire offseason, everything kind of going on. How could you not be impressed? I think there's very little to be concerned about outside of Christian McCaffrey's injury and a few guys who are working through some stuff. But yeah, how could you not be impressed with week one? Because they went out there and they made a pretty big statement on national television.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was impressed because in years past, besides last year, in years past, the 49ers had started off slow
Hmm.
on they kind of struggled at times and offensively at least. And the I was impressed with them just sticking to the game plan, like and just sticking to the run. I was really impressed because I thought, CMC not playing, Jordan Mason's going to be in there, Kyle's going to try and. I thought Debo was going to get like 20 carries
Eight's too many,
because
honestly. I mean, eight's too many,
eight was
but I get
me
it. I
too.
get it. Eight's a lot.
Yeah, I thought that was a lot too, but I was like, and I just grimaced every time he would go back there because that's just taking extra hits. But yeah, I was happy to see Jordan Mason get a bulk of the carries, and it just gave that man a chance to finally show what I've been pounding the table for this guy for 3 years, and like so I was thoroughly impressed with him going out there and doing what he did. I was impressed with the offensive line. Pooney, I thoroughly impressed. So like there was multiple things that I liked in that game, and it was the defense. I was everything. I was really impressed with the win that they came out as strong as they did with all the things that were going on in the offseason with Trent and Ayuk just barely getting back. All those things involved. I mean, they were down players as well. So it was being down CMC, being down Hufanga, being down uh, all these guys. It was just like it was surprising that they went into what we expected to be a really good team, and it was almost like a letdown for them, I would think. But did you see any growth on the 49er offense?
Offense, I feel like it's hard to gauge right now only because there still felt like there were plays that were left. And obviously everybody's gonna point to the Brandon Ayuk drop, but yeah, you know what? I will say there is growth because I still think they haven't played their best football game. Obviously, how could they? It's only week one. But, adding McCaffrey is only going to add to those things. But I still think there's some things that they still need to clean up. And yet they still won by such a wide margin. And
Mm.
again, fourth or fifth week, especially if everybody's healthy, then you'll get a glimpse of what this team is going to look like. But if we're to believe the early returns in week one without Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw and McCaffrey, yeah, this team is going to be just as good as they were last year with a chance to do, something similar, hopefully finish the job this time.
Yeah, that's really what I'm looking for. Everybody was complaining, including myself. We were all complaining about the drop back game. A majority of it was just like, how can they get better at that and giving Purdy either more time to throw or just giving him more answers when the defense would be clamping down. And that was I think the best thing that I saw was that it seemed like Purdy just had a little bit more control over what was everything that was going on, and it just seemed like he had an answer for basically everything. Of course, there was certain throws. There was a couple of throws where it was just like, okay, you're trying to do too much. But for the most part, I thought he had a command of the offense. There was no time where I thought that he was rattled at all, even when guys were getting in his face. So and that was supposed to be a really good defense. Like that was really, and I don't think that they showed the best of what they're going to be this year, but it's still, I thought it was impressive, and um, especially for week one, because usually the offense isn't running on all cylinders on week one, but but I felt like they were on the way there even when they were missing guys and guys weren't even in the rhythm. But let's talk about the defense. What was different to you? Did you see anything different about the defense compared to last year?
Pressure's a little bit light, but when it's coming from the edge, that's actually really good. So Floyd and Bosa, combining 9 of the 11 pressures, I think that's a good sign. Could you get something from the middle a little bit better? For sure. I think that's kind of where the weaknesses and the advantages for the 49ers this week against the Vikings. Their interior gave up, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, between the two of them, 10 pressures, a sack, and one of them was graded 9.8 pass blocking on PFF. So the 49ers definitely have to, find a way to continue to gain pressure, but they did a good job this week. But again, when you're looking at pressures and you're looking at this game, Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out super fast, and you understand that there's not going to be time for him to beat any linemen. But for Floyd and Bosa to have 9, that's really good. And I think this week you'll see a little bit of a flip with Malik Collins and Javon Hargrave this week, because the advantage is inside, because the Vikings have Darisaw and Tyler and O'Neal as well too. So at tackle, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and but I mean, I think there might be a little bit of a difference just because of the quarterback. Like Aaron Rodgers was getting the ball out in what, 2.3
Sam
seconds
Darnold's not
or
going to get
whatever
the
it
ball
was.
out. Yeah, Sam
He's
Darnold's
not going to
gonna
get the ball out
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
2.3
yeah, yeah,
seconds.
yeah. I think we know. I think we know.
So yeah, it's going to be yeah, and we all know that we know what Sam Darnold is. I think at this point, and people are, I think a little bit of the fan base for the Vikings are getting a little bit fooled by how badly they beat the Giants. But I mean, I rewatched their game, and I saw the same Sam Darnold, and he made some really bad throws that the Giants just couldn't take advantage. And it was, I think for the most part, they just played a bad team.
The Giants are
Like,
really bad. Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
don't
really
undersell
bad.
it. The Giants are really bad. Don't undersell
Yeah,
it.
they were really bad. I was like, I mean, I don't know how they're going to score points the majority of the year. And then their defense was on the field the whole game. I think the only good part of their defense really that I saw was their interior, their defensive line. And I thought that they did okay. But the rest of it, I was like, okay, well, I mean, but they were on the field the whole game. Um, did you see anything from Sam Darnold? Any difference, like, or anything that would say that he's going to do something special this weekend?
I think it's unfair to say that Sam Darnold isn't a talented quarterback. However,
Yeah.
talent isn't always going to win in the league. But what I saw, again, I watched the game in a bar, which isn't really good. Like, for really taking things in, especially when you look up and you see Sam Darnold's 12 for 12, that can make you think some things.
Mm-hmm.
I got a chance to like really watch it, and I think it's a combination of two things. I think Kevin O'Connell is great at putting his quarterback in a good spot with quick pass game. Understanding what he can and can't do, giving him throws. He actually turned down some big throws in that game, but he hit a really nice one to Justin Jefferson, hit one in the red zone. Now, here's the thing. Kevin O'Connell can be Kevin O'Connell and help him a lot and put him in a good spot. But Sam Darnold is eventually going to be Sam Darnold. And he threw an interception in this game, and
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be opportunities for that. You have to understand that, like, for everything that you're going to get that is good from Sam in a game, because you'll get some wild throws and you'll say, there's the arm. You're going to get some of the most baffling throws, and you're going to get one or two of those that are going to either end up in your belly or just, up in the air, popped up for like an interception. So I think as long as the 49ers protect the football better than them, Sam Darnold's going to give you one or two, and you got to be able to convert off that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like, I just look at Sam Darnold and I'm watching him play. I think that his only hope is to use his legs because we haven't. Well, I think that's
Not
the
a
only
running
time.
quarterback. Oh hell no, we're screwed. We can't stop running
That's it.
quarterbacks.
You know
We
what I'm saying?
can't.
But I
No,
mean,
no, I'm just kidding.
I feel you. Like, but I mean, that's the only chance. He just got to run for his life
Uh,
because I mean, dog. Like if
Sammy Wheels.
otherwise,
If I get Sammy Wheels, I'm gonna be really upset on Sunday. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm gonna say crazy things on the timeline. If Sammy Wheels starts taking us apart, oh my god.
he got a run off. I think he got a couple of runs off in the last game, but they do have what's his Aaron Jones
Aaron Jones
on
is
the
really good. Yes.
and he's legit.
Yeah.
But even in that game, even in the game against the Giants, I know that he didn't have bad yardage at the end, but from what I saw, they weren't opening a lot of holes for him, and I think that that's gonna be a place that the 49ers. I've been calling it all season. I think that they all off season. I think that the 49ers are going to go back to their old run defense, and they're not going to be giving up a lot of rush yards. I think that this is a spot where they can make a statement as well.
Well, they were running it. They were trying early in that game to run inside, and their guards and their center can't get any push. See, like this is the part that
Yeah,
like I think it's really just them. When Aaron Jones is allowed to get behind Christian Darrisaw or O'Neal, like he usually like he can, and that's how the 49ers were getting gashed in the postseason. I'm sorry, the preseason. In the postseason against Detroit and Green Bay, all outside zone, crack toss stuff. Like that's kind of what they are better at now. So we're going to see. But I think the 49ers have kind of cleaned that up with the way that they've been crashing to the ball and creating the lanes. Like Nick Bosa's in the middle of everything on that one. Leonard Floyd, the first play of the game, he literally runs right past Tyler Conklin's face because he anticipates the snap count and he takes
yeah,
down Brees Hall. Like, like there's something different about it. Obviously, the run fits are going to be there, but the run defense already, if we're talking about week one, I wouldn't be jumping out on a limb and saying that it's better than last season because how could it not be?
yeah. No, it was. I think all of and you can hear it from the defense when they talk in their press conferences. They want to say so bad. They want to say it so bad. This is better. We feel better. And I just look at at their body language. I look at the way that they're flying off the ball on every snap, and it looks like the old 49ers that we're used to, and getting back to the physical nature, the bully ball, the swarming to the ball, and not just leaving guys on islands like I felt like happened a lot last season. And that's how those missed tackles get blown up out of proportion, is because 49ers still missed tackles in the last game, but there was always somebody right there to clean it up. And like that's so I look at it and I loved Leonard Floyd. I was unaware that Leonard Floyd would be that good up against the run and like setting the edge as well. Uh, so I liked what I saw. Malik Collins, I heard Javon Hargrave wasn't good against the run. Malik Collins was just a carbon copy of Javon Hargrave, and they were just two pass rushers. And and you looked at the game, it couldn't have been further from the truth as far as I saw. They just completely controlled that line of scrimmage. Uh, what did you think of them preseason? What did you think it was going to be compared to what you saw in week one?
Well, first of all, it's like hard to replace Eric Armstead, who, by the way, against
Yeah.
Miami had a sack and a few defensive plays as well too. Like I think our
Mm-hmm.
frustration with Eric Armstead was just how much he played. So how do you replace Eric Armstead? I don't think there's a simple answer because I don't think there's a one for one that you'd probably be able to do that for that isn't expensive. Um, so how do you do it? Malik Collins, Jordan Elliott. I think you expect a lot of Javon Hargrave given the contract that you gave him and the caliber of player you thought you were bringing in because he was great for the Eagles. But I think Collins and this defensive line, they're gonna have their games and they're gonna have their moments from everywhere. And
Mm.
as long as there's consistency week to week, would I like to see, more than 10 pressures? Sure. But it's Aaron Rodgers. The ball gets in, gets out. Like it's not him like under pressure. He knows what he sees pre-snap and he gets the ball out on time. It's not gonna bother me. A game like this is really gonna show us on this defensive line who's really, going to make an impact because you're not going to run into guys like Aaron Rodgers who get the ball out like that all the time. And if you do, then you better have a plan similar to what you had on Monday night to slow down the offense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It. I think it's just looking different. It's looking different. I was I was really happy. I was just really happy, the like I was saying earlier, the physical nature, and like just the getting back to running, like just flying to the ball. That was the biggest part for me. But then when we talk about the defense, like we got to talk about the secondary. And is there anybody on other than Justin Jefferson? And well, we talked about Aaron Jones, but are any of the other receivers capable of like really challenging the secondary?
I think when you go by name recognition, you're gonna feel like no, because the 49ers have faced, better competition. But
Yeah.
I think that would be doing a disservice to like Kevin O'Connell and like how they got it done. So Hawkins is not playing. Josh Oliver is your other guy that they have in there. He scored a touchdown in the Giants game as well too. Addison left this game. Um that receiver room gets a little rough after that. I mean, it wasn't exactly, burgeoning. So I don't think you really, but I think that would lull you into a false sense of security because you have to still play. The scheme still matters. You can still get guys open, if you're not on your P's and Q's. And I think obviously Justin Jefferson's got to be the focus, but I don't know if that will be the focus because it did seem like a little bit of this week one game with Sorensen. He wanted to play a little bit more man. So maybe he does want to just leave him out there one on one, and see what Mooney can do. So I think it's going to be interesting how they attack. But I think it all starts up front. Like if they're not able to get pressure on Darnold, it could be a long day. But if they are, they can kind of end the game pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it could be, if the offense is on top of their game and they come in. I think that they could do the same thing that they did last week. Did you enjoy? I'm going to ask you about Jordan Mason for a minute.
Mhm.
Did you enjoy watching them get more back to that wide zone? Because I will say I loved it, and I was so happy that Kittle, like, he had been talking about the wide zone and that we needed to get back to the wide zone for like since last season, and he talked about it again after the game. How do you feel about that? And do you think that they should keep the wide zone and get away from that inside zone that they had been messing with for a couple of years now?
I think it's probably going to be week to week. You'll be able to do all those things against defenses. I mean, you would think that a Robert Saleh defense would be ready for it, but I think they're going back to something that they haven't really put on tape in a while. So you would
Mm,
think that there's going to be more advantageous, times where it's that. I think again with Christian McCaffrey out, I think that is like kind of taking you into a place where like this is what we want to do. I don't know if it's necessarily something they want to do with McCaffrey. Obviously they use him in a bunch of different ways. I think week to week you're just going to see all these little things, and I think the little wrinkles are evident on film with guys lining up almost like towards the tackle and taking handoffs and creating new angles in the run game and how they're showing certain looks where it looks like Pooney's about to like pass block and someone else cracks down. I mean, Spencer Burford depleted Jermaine Johnson on a run play. Like so they're like
mm,
they're all going through all the wrinkles. I think right now, like you're still not seeing a full potential team because I still think those Debo handoffs from a little bit further out and anything that they're trying to implement right now, they're trying to kind of implement on the fly because none of these guys have been able to do it in games during the preseason. And I think that's why week one is such a weird week for everybody. It doesn't necessarily mean it's anybody's season's over. Sorry, Carolina Panthers, your season's over. But I mean, but it doesn't mean that, but it doesn't mean that you're like your season's going like to a Super Bowl if you want to know either.
yeah, yeah. I loved seeing Burford get in there
Mhm.
and on his natural side and and feel comfortable. Like, I mean, does that mean Aaron Banks going to lose his job now? No, absolutely not. I don't think so. But I liked that him. At least it might give the coaching staff some confidence in him that that's something that they could go back to later if they had to. And so I liked that. I liked the kind of the versatility of this offensive line. Like, I mean, everybody was saying that the offensive line is the weak link of the team, but I think they had a pretty good week one. And does that mean it's going to always be good? No. But and are there places where they need to improve? Absolutely. But at the same time, I think that they put some good things on tape to work through. And like, what do you think the future of Burford, Banks, like those guys? Because I know Banks is up for contract situation. And what do you think the future is in all of that?
So, my good friend Jordan Elliott at NBC Sports just wrote an exclusive article about a conversation he had with Spencer Burford after Week 1. And Spencer Burford played 16 snaps at left guard. But he said immediately after the game, I've never felt more comfortable because he played left tackle his almost entire college career. Left tackle, left
Mm,
guard, a little bit different. I'm wondering, and I think it's alluded to in the article too by Jordan, if the 49ers are in this position where Dominic Puni has like sewn up your right guard position, like you're not moving away from him.
mm-hmm,
Spencer Burford might be your left guard, and for very cheap, for very very
mm-hmm,
cheap, by the way. So I wonder if that's it. I mean, you can't make a sweeping statement like that after Week 1, but it certainly
mm-hmm.
feels like they're trying to keep the door open for something like that because someone is going to pay Aaron Banks, and I don't think it's the 49ers.
Yeah, no, I don't think I don't think that Aaron Banks is in the plans. Like that was my personal opinion on it, and I agree. I'm hoping I'm hoping that I'm just glad to see Burford playing well, and I would like to see more. But I understand that Banks is the starter over there, and like I wouldn't want him just losing his job because of a Week 1 game, because this isn't Madden. This isn't Madden, and like you can't just make sweeping decisions like that. But you got what was I was gonna ask you about that the McKivitz and
Mhm.
McKivitz has looked better with Pooney next to him. Do you think that is going to save McKivitz's job, and now because he's got a stronger right guard next to him, that it can keep him from being the scapegoat for every 49er fan after somebody gets beat on the line?
So I think it's twofold, right? I think we all kind of know what Colton McKivitz is, and I think a lot of 49ers fans have a problem with that. But there's absolutely room for improvement as long as Pooney is there. Think about the biggest play in the Super Bowl. It was a miscommunication between Burford and McKivitz. Was it
Mm,
even necessarily would they be beat? Because Chris Jones is incredible. Of course, maybe you have a chance of that. But you also have a chance of at least throwing a body in front of him and slowing him down for maybe half or more a second. So I think it's not really crazy to overstate the importance of even just knowing what a stunt is, what you're looking at, what's going to be the call here, who do I have? I think there's absolutely a way to say that Cole McKivitz might not be exactly what you want, but Dominic Pooney even just doing his job and understanding some of the spots can help both of them. And as crazy as it sounds, if that play happens in the Super Bowl, the 49ers would have won a Super Bowl with Colton McKivitz starting at right tackle for the
mm-hmm.
whole year. That's how close it was. So, was it because of the right tackle? I don't know, but that play, if you get the right communication, you might even slow Chris Jones down a tick enough for that to be Juwan Jennings. So again, like it's kind of overstated. He becomes the person that is going to be, the most hated, but the 49ers were minutes away from winning a Super Bowl and he started the entire year. And if he improves just a little, I don't see how you can't even think that that's possible for them to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just can't stand. I can't stand watching. I'll be honest with you. I can't stand watching McKivitz play. Like, you
That's
just I
strong.
just
Oh my
can't.
God, to it. That was disgusting. I'm sorry. That
No
was
worries.
horrible.
I'm not watching it, so I don't. I
Oh
like.
yeah, please don't watch it. That is one of the worst. If you thought Will Levis's interception was bad, yeah, this
It
one
can't be
is.
worse than that. It can't be worse than that.
Oh, buddy, it can it. Good God. Oh
But I
no,
mean,
sorry, sorry.
you know what? That is a good segue because you compare these two offenses.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to compare the Mike McDonald or Mike McDaniel uh, offense to Shanny's naturally,
Mhm.
and so they naturally compare Tua, and they constantly talk about Tua and Purdy almost in the same vein.
Mhm.
Like, why do you think that is when I feel like Purdy has proven himself over and over in this offense, and Tua just kind of like, I mean, and not that Purdy hasn't had a bad interception, like, but
But this is 3 in this game. Well, 2. The one bounced off the
yeah,
shoulder pad, right? Yeah,
yeah,
those last 2 were brutal. Sorry.
but yeah, it's why do you think that people feel the need to compare and always put those disclaimers on Purdy? Uh, they just like, I mean, he's doing is putting up numbers,
Mhm.
and
It
any other quarterback putting up
Mhm,
numbers, they get the praise. It doesn't matter who it is, but
mhm,
for some reason, and I get that it's draft bias, but at the same time,
mhm.
like at a certain point, you have to say, okay, he kind of good. He kind of good.
Yeah, no, I never really had Purdy and Tua in the same discussion. I think Purdy is in the top 12 discussion every single week. Where he is in the top 12 changes week to week. Some weeks he looks like 6, some weeks he could be 9, like that's fine, but he's always going to be in that conversation. I don't think Tua's in that conversation. I don't think he is week to week. And I mean, maybe there are weeks where you have to put him in there when he put up a bunch of yards, but I think the reason that you look at the way that they're viewed is because of their role in the offense. But the crazy thing is, if they weren't in the offense wouldn't be able to operate it that way. So it
Mm,
becomes the chicken and the egg thing, right? Like, is it the scheme? Is it the quarterback? He fits there, right? Like that type of thing. I think that's the only reason that I think people put them together. I wouldn't myself put Purdy in a spot where I need to compare him to Tua. I think he's much better. He's a much better processor. He's much better off schedule. He understands the offense much better. I think with Tua, I think he's a fine operator of the offense, and I think with that personnel, everybody looks at the scheme and they're like, why doesn't everybody run it? Because you don't have Tyreek Hill, you don't have Jalen Waddle, you don't have HN, you don't have Mostert. That's the reason you can put so much pressure on all these defenses, is because all that motion is fine, but all these guys can burn you, and it really just puts a lot of pressure on. So like nobody else can run Miami's offense, right? Like not the quarterback. I'm just
hmm
saying personnel dictates how you use them. So they're just viewed because they're both viewed as the point guards. But I would not put Tua in the same spot with Purdy. I don't think he's fighting with him at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that either. You just see a lot of them a lot of people put them in the same vein, and I hear it all the time. And I mean, I really shouldn't listen to Twitter, but like,
If we don't listen to
you
them, who
just
are we
see
gonna
it all the
listen to
time.
though? Like we have to.
Yeah,
Like we have to.
it's good for a laugh. Like, I get into
Yeah.
spaces just to listen to the ridiculous takes sometimes, and but to your point, to your point, the issue that I have is that it throughout NFL history, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're a coach, you could be a really good coach. If you don't have the quarterback that fits in your system, it's not going to work.
Right.
And like, and likewise, that a quarterback could be have all the talent in the world, could be really good, but he got drafted by the wrong team and got drafted by the wrong coach, and it's just not a fit. I think there's a ton of quarterbacks that could have been good throughout their careers, but they just fell on the wrong team. And once you get on the wrong team and you get put in these bad positions on these bad teams, they ruin you. They ruin you because now you're like Sam Darnold seeing ghosts.
I was about to
And
say, is this about Sam Darnold?
oh yeah, no, you know, you know what it is. You got to come back. Like, but yeah, it. So I just look at the Purdy is good because Kyle Shanahan's good, and likewise, Kyle Shanahan's offense is looking incredible because Purdy runs it well. The Tua's running Mike McDaniel's offense well for the most part until, like you said, until what happened today. Like,
Well,
but
today's fine. Today's just gonna be a blip on the radar. They're gonna win a bunch of football games, but it's not pretty. It is not pretty today.
yeah, no, thankfully I picked Buffalo today,
Oh yeah,
but
I think you're. What is it? 31-7 game.
yeah,
31-10. Wow. Yeah, 31-10
yeah,
in the third.
yeah, I took the points, but Yeah, it's
You're
gonna be.
you're good.
Yeah,
Maybe. Classic last words ended up on
yeah,
freezing cold
exactly.
takes. Yeah, we're
Don't be saying that, Jay, and then like, giving me advice, and then
hey. If you want to get to the fantasy stuff, let's get to it now. Don't ask me anything more about this game. I don't know what's going on.
So okay, let's talk about it because 49ers 6-point favorites. Six
Uh-huh.
point favorites as of today on BetGM. Do, do you think they cover, or is it going to end, or and it's going to be kind of a close game, or like I mean, or are you taking the points and get and with Minnesota?
No. The Niners win by more than that. Like again, you look up and down the defense, and I think the matchups that present themselves are less about the player on a player and whether the 49ers can understand what Brian Flores is throwing at them in terms of exotic blitzes. If they communicate, it's not a matter of talent. I think the Jets defense is far more talented than the Minnesota Vikings, and I also think that the real matchup that presents itself is less talent on talent, person on person, and Brian Flores and what he's going to do in terms of how
Mm,
he blitzes. So that's the part. But I think again, when you look up and down, like while I say it's all scheme, they don't have enough, and they beating up on the New York Giants is fine. I'm not trying to discount them, as like whatever, like not good because they did exactly what was right in front of them. But no, I'm sorry, man. I have a hard time looking at this game and thinking that the 49ers don't win this one pretty big, man, and end finally this curse of 1992 with the 49ers never winning in Minnesota.
yeah, yeah. I think the 49ers are gonna cover, and I think that it's going to be. I'm gonna say I think they win by 2 touchdowns at least, and but just watching their game against the Giants, the Giants were just giving away points like it was they were just giving them points like it was Christmas. It was just weird to watch. It was just like they were, even though the Minnesota wasn't particularly playing well, they weren't playing great. They just took advantage of just obvious miscues, and they just took advantage of all the mistakes by the Giants. So, but with that being said, 49ers just can't make the same mistakes that the Giants make. And
Well,
and
and
that's really
just
it.
protect the football. I think just protect the
Exactly.
football. Don't if you're not going to turn this football over, like you're going to be fine in this game.
And that's what happened. People are going to point to last year and all that kind of stuff, and that they got out. The 49ers got out physical by Minnesota last year, and all that kind of talk. But this is a different team. It's a different. I think it's the defensive scheme looks a little bit more aggressive, and I don't think it's going to be the same situation. But um, but as far as fantasy go, we were talking about fantasy. What is your fantasy advice for the people out there this week, and in the people in this game? Is there any, obviously, if you got Justin Jefferson, you're going to start him, but
Mhm.
anybody else that you see in this game that people might want to put in their starting lineup?
It's tough with the Vikings. It's tough to trust anybody else. I mean, you look at if you're like stuck for tight end, you're looking at someone like Josh Oliver. I really don't think you want to look to anybody else outside of, and anybody else that you look in this game is probably going to be on somebody else's team if not yours. Like it's hard to just say, hey, you're probably starting Debo and Kittle and Ayuk, and you're definitely starting Mason if that's the case. I think the Brock Purdy thing has a little bit more of an effect this week because I personally wouldn't have played him, unless it's a quarterback two super flex type of league. This week, I think if you're playing the streaming game, I don't think he's a bad option. I think that they're going to still be able to throw the football and he's going to be able to get you points with his legs, which he's been doing like, little by little. It wasn't much on Monday, but he didn't really need to. So I don't feel like everybody else is like someone else is going to have them. With the Vikings, I don't want to take a chance on any of those guys that are not behind him. KJ Osborne went to New England. If Addison's not playing, I'm not starting many people on this Vikings offense outside of just Justin and Aaron Jones. After that, you got to be pretty desperate right now at this point. I think you got somebody better on your bench that you could play.
You're definitely not starting Minnesota's defense, right?
I wouldn't do that at all either. You know what? I think I think week 1 was a little weird because it almost went into a week. It almost went into like for the people that do the streaming DSTs, like everybody against New England, and then New England beat Cincinnati, and now everybody's going to shy away from that. I still think that's the move. Like if you're looking for any sort of DST and you're just streaming them, like anybody who's playing the Patriots, it's hard to see them generating offense. Like you've got to be able to just be disciplined. But like with this, it's the Niners because you have to think Sam Darnold is gonna throw you the football or fumble it once or twice, man, if not more. And it's a snowball effect too. All to a certain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because those ghosts gonna come out heavy.
Yeah,
They're gonna come out heavy once that first fumble or like you said, like the first interception hit.
Tua's
But
down. That's not good. Tua took a
oh,
really
he's
bad
down
hit.
now.
He took a really
Oh,
bad hit.
jeez.
He took a really bad hit. He led with his head, right? Yo, sorry.
That dude, I don't understand.
Everybody's on
I
a
just
knee.
don't
That's not good. Oh man.
like that. I just don't understand. Like, I mean, because people were calling for him to retire a couple of years ago, and because of all the concussions, like,
He's
can
asleep.
he really take another one? Is the
He's
question.
asleep. He's asleep.
Oh, oh
Yeah,
wow.
off the hit. He got it off the hit. Yeah, whoa. Well,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, prayers up for Tua.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, we never want to see a guy like a guy go down like that. Like,
yeah.
but I got one more question. We're gonna get out of here. But I got one more question for you, and it's a
Yep.
Shanny question. I want to know:
Uh-huh.
has Shanny learned from his past like his past Super Bowl mistakes, like or from the mistakes from last year, and
Mhm.
really dove into his drop back game and change? Did you see changes? Did you see changes in the game? And because I want to see if you saw the same thing that I did.
I personally didn't. And here's why. After the game, and Peacock just pointed this out to me, and I had to go look it up. After the game, the 49ers win this game. They go in there. He starts his speech, and he says, "We ran the ball 37 times." And it's like, nah, hey, great win, guys. It's
Yeah.
we did what we, like it's still there. I think it was game plan specific, right? Like so that's
Mhm.
another thing. It's twofold. Like so with the Jets, are you really going to start tempting like Sauce and DJ Reed or Michael Carter like those? That's a very good secondary, right?
Mhm.
You see your offensive line pushing the defensive line around. Hello, Javon Kinlaw, you're 2 gaps over by, Colton McKivit's escort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you get into that sort of game, you start to see it happening and happening. There's no reason to tempt fate, anything like that, and throw the ball. I think if the opportunity presents itself, obviously you've got to change that. But why change anything when that's working that way? We've seen him do that before. I think I will say that the growth that I heard was in this really nice small nugget from Tim Kawakami, who said,
Mhm.
why, they asked him, why did you Tua's walking. They let Clay Kubiak call the plays in the preseason.
Mhm.
And Kyle Shanahan said, I wanted to hear what he was calling, Nick Sorensen. I wanted to hear what he was calling. So for the first time, and this feels like growth for the coach, because he had to help Steve Wilkes so much last season. He had to collaborate with him and show him what he was seeing, because that's what a head coach does. You have to see everything, but
Mhm.
you're trying to get on the same page now, like right now, like with this. And I think he's learned his lesson from last season. Perhaps it's because Steve Wilkes is so respected and has been around for so long. That's definitely fair. I think that's a little bit of respect that you owe Steve Wilkes because he has been a defensive coordinator and a coach in this league for so long. But with Sorensen, he wants to make sure he gets it right because this is his first type of job like that. He was only a secondary coach before that. I think that's a little bit of growth because you want to get on the same page and correct things earlier if you can, which is why it was kind of interesting to see the 49ers defense change gears a little bit, like in terms of
Mhm.
zone to man. I think that's more to do with Staley than it is with Kyle Shanahan, also, by the way.
Yeah.
But Kyle's involved now, and he's involved now, and he's not getting involved during the season when things are starting to go a certain way. Let's nip this in the bud now, and let's talk about it now. Like I think that's what I mean by it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's the result that we get, I'm all about it. And if that's part of his growth, I'm all about Shanny growing because
Mhm.
as much as I critique Shanny throughout the season,
He's
uh,
not perfect. I mean, no
He's
coach
not
is, but
perfect.
yeah.
Like, but as much as I do, I've said it over and over and over again on the show, is that I just want to see him grow. I want him to win a Super Bowl. I don't want them to get like all these people talking about firing him and like all this other stuff. No, absolutely not. He has built a tremendous culture here, like from the ground. Like, I want to see him succeed, and I know it's in there. I know it's in there. Like there's a couple of things that I feel like he needs to get over, and once he does, it's curtains. It's curtains for everybody when he
Yeah.
once he figures it out. So, um, I mean, do you look at it differently? Like, and maybe I'm just weird. Like,
How's that weird? I mean, no, I mean, I've given my support to Kyle Shanahan on many occasions. I think it's like
mm,
it's hard to run from how much I talk about how much I love Kyle Shanahan. I think when you look around the league and you look at all the people implementing his same offense, whether it's just a small play or just the entire playbook, the influence is everywhere. And it's a lineage,
sure,
right? Kubiak, Shanahan, all of these guys are taking from other people. Coryell, everybody is taking from somebody else. But right now, the league is like shifted to like, have you rubbed elbows with Kyle Shanahan in a elevator? Yes, we'd like to bring you in for an interview, like type deal, So yeah, the Shanahan tree is growing, and it's growing from just offensive guys to defensive guys. I don't know if there's much more that needs to be said about that.
yeah, for sure. And I was I was happy to see the Saints do well. Like the Saints just blew, and I get it. They played a terrible team. I get it, but
Oh, the
still,
Panthers,
their
yeah,
offense was
yeah,
atrocious last year. And for them to look as good as they did, like that, I mean, they've always had players, but it was good to see Clint. I root for all of our Shanahan coaches until they
yeah,
go up against us.
yeah. That's it. As long
But
as they're not playing us. Shout out to Bobby Slowick and D'Amico too. Yeah.
oh man, so I live in Houston,
Oh, so you're
like
like, you're right in the middle of it.
dog, and I told people from the beginning because they were kind of iffy when D'Amico was coming in, and I said, hey, D'Amico is going to get you right. That is
How
a
could they
leader in
be
men.
iffy when he's a lifetime Texan?
No, they like him as a person, but they had
Oh,
been done dirty so much
oh,
that like they were just like, oh well, we don't know. He's a defensive guy. Like we feel like we need an offensive coach. I heard a lot of that, and they just didn't know how it was gonna
mm,
shape out. And I was trying to explain it. I said, look, he's a leader of men. He gonna get that defense right for sure. And it's all about the defense. And then once I saw that he brought Bobby Slowick, I said, oh, he's just bringing in the Shanny offense in. So
mm,
he's going to get those guys playing right. It was all about if they hit on the quarterback, and they obviously hit on the quarterback. So it's a wrap. Like they're going to be better. They're going to be better this season. By the end of the season, I feel like as long as they stay healthy.
oh, they're fine.
Um,
I mean, I think they already won a playoff game last year. So how could you not feel
yeah.
like that? And they got better. Bringing in Aziz Al Shire, Daniel Hunter. Like what about this team hasn't gotten better? At almost every level. So you just hope that the quarterback continues to progress. But the Texans are the Texans are what everyone would like to be if they aren't like a Super Bowl contender right now. And I think they think that they can be. And I don't blame people for thinking that.
In 2 seasons, or not even 2 seasons,
Exactly.
a
A
season and a
season.
week.
Last season they won a playoff game. They did
Yeah.
what nobody else could do. They put Joe Flacco down. And then like that Baltimore game was good for a half, and you improve
Yeah.
your team. You're gonna end up with Nico and Tank, and you add Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon, and how how you do that? You're banking in on the cheap quarterback who is performing very
Mm-hmm.
well. Must be
Yep.
nice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wouldn't know anything
Well,
about that.
yeah, we
Brock
wouldn't
Purdy.
know
Yeah,
nothing. We would
wait.
not
I mean, we're not
like
gonna know anything about that. We're about to have our guy up, like
they still pay him
like.
more than us. Like
I mean, Brock's about to get the bag, so we're gonna have to figure this out one way or another. Like one day, we're not getting away with this cheap stuff forever.
it's true. It's true, but we're enjoying it now. I think
Yeah,
somehow I think that they're gonna figure it out. I
and that's the
like
thing. I don't get wrapped up in that. They always find out. Like we're just like, oh, this guy will never come back. Oh, they brought him back. How do we
yeah.
bring everybody back? Like I'm out of it. I don't talk about stuff like that.
How do we bring everybody back and we're still gonna have 50 million in cap space?
Yep.
Like,
I don't get it.
but
Yep.
it is
Yep.
what it
And
is. But Jay,
you let Eric Armstead go and everything too. Yep. Yep.
Jay, I thoroughly appreciate you coming through and giving me your time and giving
Yeah,
my
man.
the podcast the time. Like everybody in the chat, I appreciate all you guys coming through and showing love. Uh, before we get out of here, why don't you tell everybody about all of your 50 jobs and where they can find you on the social?
Nah, Pete, thank you for having me, man. You know I always got you, man. I'm glad that we got to talk a little Wu Tang. That was pretty cool. Every
Absolutely.
day, writing on Niners Nation. You know, Tuesday bully ball with Steph Sanchez. Nick Bosa. In some parts of the country. State of the franchise with Brad Graham. Wednesday, spring right option Monday and Friday with Andrew Pasquini and Peacock and Aponte is probably going to be on Tuesdays as well too. But yeah, just subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get all that or whatever. But yeah, and then on Twitter, Jason Aponte 2103 if you want stupid Simpsons memes. I think
Yeah,
that's the
and
best way to
it's
describe my
all
Twitter.
and his Twitter and his and Jason's YouTube is in the description, so
Thank you, man.
it's in there for you if you want to subscribe. I mean, you should. I don't know why you wouldn't. You got content for days on
Thank you,
there,
man.
so it is what it is. But I appreciate him coming through. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give all of us a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so that you get the notifications for when I go live. And tell a friend to tell a friend so we can be friends every day, every week. I appreciate that. And we're gonna get out of here. I will see you guys on Sunday. Definitely after the game. I'm gonna try and make time, but I got 3 kids, so before the game. So, but y'all have a good rest of your week. Have a good weekend with your family. Hug your little ones. Like as always, go Niners.